A conspiracy theory now brushing up against official corridors of power. And this time, the name at the center is not just a victim, but a political flashpoint. According to a report by the New York Post, former National Counterterrorism Center Chief Joe Kent has sparked fresh controversy after suggesting that a theory linking Israel to the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk is, in his words, a data point that needs to be looked into. A statement that doesn't confirm, but doesn't dismiss either. And from there, the narrative deepens, because Kent didn't stop at speculation. He tied the theory to timing, to politics, and to what he described as a pattern. Speaking to commentator Tucker Carlson, Kent pointed to Kirk's stance on Iran, a stance that, according to him, may have mattered. Quote, "One of President Trump's closest advisors who was vocally advocating for us to not go to war with Iran, and then he's suddenly publicly assassinated. And then, the line that is now echoing across platforms, we're not allowed to ask any questions about that. It's a data point." A phrase that doesn't accuse, but invites suspicion. And in the world of conspiracy narratives, that's often enough. But here's where the confirmed facts come in. Authorities have already charged Tyler Robinson, 22, with aggravated murder in connection to Kirk's assassination on September 10, 2025, during an event at Utah Valley University. A lone gunman, at least, according to the official version. But Kent challenges that closure. He claims that while Robinson may be the shooter, the investigation, in his view, was cut short. Quote, "We've been told Robinson is the one gunman, and maybe he is, but we were stopped from continuing to investigate." Kent says the National Counterterrorism Center, an agency he was part of, wanted to dig deeper, to explore what he calls linkages, connections that he says were never fully pursued. But that version is being strongly disputed. A law enforcement source told the New York Post that Kent had no authority in the case and was not blocked from investigating, but rather blocked from accessing files he wasn't authorized to see. The source went further, claiming Kent entered meetings without evidence and repeatedly floated theories, including claims that Iran was behind the killing, claims that reportedly came with no proof. And then there's the evidence trail. Federal investigators uncovered messages between Robinson and his roommate, Lance Twiggs, a personal connection with a possible motive. In one message, Robinson reportedly said he had had enough of his hatred, referring to Kirk's criticism of transgender rights. He added, "Some hate can't be negotiated out." A chilling line, and one that prosecutors have used to frame a domestic motive. Because as of now, no credible evidence has been presented linking any foreign nation to Kirk's murder, not by prosecutors, not by the defense, not by investigators. But the speculation doesn't stop there, because Kent also referenced messages that surfaced after Kirk's death, messages suggesting the activist felt pressure from pro-Israel donors as he became more critical of the Jewish state. And then, a personal recollection. Kent claims his last interaction with Kirk happened in June inside the West Wing stairway, where Kirk allegedly told him, "Joe, stop us from getting into a war with Iran." A statement that, if true, adds another layer to the narrative, because Kent is also linking this to broader geopolitical events. He pointed to the end of the so-called 12-day war and Operation Midnight Hammer, suggesting that Israel was expected to push for further escalation. Quote, "We have a lot of data points." Again, not conclusions, but signals, at least in his view, and it doesn't end there. Kent's resignation adds another twist. He stepped down on March 19th in protest of the war in Iran. In that announcement, he went even further, alleging that Israel pushed Donald Trump into launching Operation Epic Fury, despite, as he claims, no imminent threat from Tehran. The response was immediate. A Trump administration officials pushed back, accusing Kent of leaking information. The FBI, according to the New York Post, even investigated Kent over alleged unauthorized disclosures. One source claimed he had effectively been iced out of key discussions before his resignation. And yet, despite all the noise, Kent has stopped short of making a direct accusation. He hasn't said Israel was responsible. He hasn't presented evidence, but he has raised questions. And in today's information ecosystem, questions can travel just as fast as facts. Because this story now lives in two parallel worlds, one driven by official records, an arrested suspect, a documented motive, and ongoing prosecution, and the other driven by suspicion, timelines, statements, and what some call data points. And somewhere between those two worlds, the narrative continues to evolve.